how Trump has supercharged the immigration crackdown. Under Trump's renewed leadership, U.S. immigration policies have grown more aggressive and controversial. From mass IC raids and overcrowded detention centers to legal battles over birthright citizenship, the administration is reshaping enforcement tactics and visa regulations with sweeping consequences. If you're interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through to the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. In the 6 months since Donald Trump took office, the U.S. president has supercharged the country's immigration enforcement apparatus, pushing immigration officials to arrest a record number of people in June. A Guardian analysis of arrest and deportation data has revealed that Trump is now overseeing a sweeping mass arrest and incarceration scheme. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency does not publish daily arrest, detention, and deportation data. But a team of lawyers and academics from the Deportation Data Project used a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit to obtain a dataset that provides the most detailed picture yet of the U.S. immigration enforcement and detention system under Trump. A Guardian analysis of the dataset found, in June this year, average daily arrests were up 268% compared with June 2024. ICE is increasingly targeting any and all unauthorized immigrants, including people who have no criminal records. Despite Trump's claims that his administration is seeking out the worst of the worst, the majority of people being arrested by ICE now have no criminal convictions. Detention facilities have been increasingly overcrowded, and the U.S. system is over capacity by more than 13,500 people. The number of deportation, however, has fluctuated as the administration pursues new strategies and policies to swiftly expel people from the U.S. The U.S. government has deported more than 8,100 people to countries that are not their home country. Within weeks of Trump's inauguration, ICE tripled its number of daily arrests. Daily arrests spiked further after a heated meeting on May 21st, when Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, and Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, ordered ICE officials to aim for 3,000 arrests a day, or 1 million a year. In early June, ICE arrests peaked at about 1,000 a day, far short of Miller's benchmark, but 42% higher than the average daily arrests in May and 268% higher than in June 2024. On June 4th, ICE arrested nearly 2,000 people, the highest number of people arrested in a single day, according to nearly 10 years of arrest records. For the first time since ICE started releasing detailed data, the number of non-criminal arrests overtook the number of arrests of people with criminal convictions or pending charges. That month, during large-scale raids in Los Angeles, armed federal agents acting on Miller's explicit instructions began detaining immigrant workers at car washes, at garment factories, and outside Home Depot stores. Agents with armored vehicles and military-style gear descended upon public parks. Masked agents grabbed street vendors and restaurant workers. ICE arrested people without criminal records the most after a White House meeting. Although Trump has repeatedly claimed his administration is trying to arrest and deport dangerous criminals and the worst of the worst, most of the people ICE is now arresting have never been convicted of crime. In early July, a federal judge granted a temporary restraining order against the government's aggressive immigration sweeps in L.A., barring federal agents from stopping people in the region unless there is reasonable suspicion that a person is violating immigration law. The ruling came in response to a lawsuit filed by immigrant advocacy groups that accuse immigration officials of racially profiling residents. ICE arrests are up across the country and have more than doubled in 38 states. Most of the arrests have occurred in Texas, Florida, and California, each of which have large immigrant populations. Arrests have especially ramped up in the southern and western states that have eagerly backed Trump's immigration agenda, volunteering state resources and law enforcement personnel to work with federal officials seeking to detain immigrants. ICE arrests have increased across the U.S. As the Trump administration ramps up immigration arrests, ICE detention facilities are becoming increasingly overcrowded. ICE detentions rose to the highest level since 2019. The average number of people held in ICE detention jumped from 40,000 right before Trump's inauguration to about 55,000 in late June. Congress, however, last allocated funding for only about 41,500 detainee beds. In legal filings following the LA raids, immigrants who were arrested said they were held in federal buildings without adequate access to water, food, and medications. Family members and lawyers struggled to locate and contact people in ICE custody. After a visit to the Adelanto Detention Center in California's high desert in June, the U.S. Representative Judy Chu wrote that detainees were being held in filthy, inhumane conditions and had not been provided a change in underwear for 10 days. Across the U.S., immigrants in detention have reported overcrowded conditions and moldy and inadequate food. Human rights experts have also raised concerns about the detention of children with their parents at the newly recommissioned family detention centers in Texas, warning that even short periods of incarceration can have major mental health and developmental consequences in young people. Families, too, have said there's a lack of fresh, drinkable water and child-friendly food in these facilities. The immigrant rights group RACES said that one of the families it represents had a 9-month-old baby who lost more than 8 pounds while in detention. The president's omnibus spending bill, which was signed into law this month, has allocated $45 billion to expand ICE's sprawling detention system, roughly doubling the agency's capacity to detain people over the next several years. The agency is concurrently changing policies to make it easier to detain more people and for longer periods of time. In a recent memo, ICE's acting director Todd Lyons declared that immigrants fighting deportation in court will no longer be eligible for bond hearings, meaning that millions will have to remain in detention for months or years while their cases are processed. Deportations returned to pre-pandemic levels. Despite deploying federal agents across the U.S. to arrest more immigrants and despite incarcerating a record number of immigrants in detention facilities, the Trump administration has not managed to dramatically ramp up the scale of deportations. That's in part because during the Biden administration, most expulsions occur at the U.S. southern border, where Customs and Border Protection turned back immigrants seeking to enter the U.S. Since taking office, Trump has closed the southern border to tens of thousands of people who have been waiting to cross into the U.S. legally and apply for asylum. The number of immigrant apprehensions at the border have dropped by more than 50% since January. Instead, the administration has refocused intensely on arresting and deporting immigrants within the U.S., many of whom have been living in the country for years and have legitimate claims to fight deportation. This shift has meant that even as arrests and detentions have surged, the number of deportations has fluctuated under the second Trump administration. But the administration is still vying to keep its promise of mass deportations and, since Trump taking office, has deported more than 127,000 people. To speed up the removal of those people, the administration has deployed a number of policy changes, including a campaign to arrest people at immigration courthouses so they can be swiftly deported. Across the U.S., federal prosecutors have abruptly asked judges to dismiss immigration cases, levying a legal maneuver that allows ICE agents waiting outside courtrooms to arrest immigrants and immediately place them in deportation proceedings without hearings. In a recent class action lawsuit, a coalition of advocacy groups have argued that the scheme violates federal immigration laws and the U.S. Constitution. Over the past 6 months, Mexico alone has received more than 63,000 deportees from the U.S. Central and South American countries have also received tens of thousands of deportees. The Trump administration has terminated temporary humanitarian relief for immigrants from Honduras, El Salvador, and Venezuela. Those countries have each received nearly 22,000 deportees since late January. The administration has also been seeking to make deals with countries around the globe to accept immigrants that the U.S. cannot easily deport to their home countries, ramping up so-called third country deportations. More than 8,100 people deported to countries not their own. In late June, the U.S. Supreme Court cleared the way for the administration to send immigrants to countries where they have no connection, without a meaningful opportunity to contest the deportations on grounds that they could face torture. The administration has sent more than 200 Venezuelan nationals to El Salvador, where they remain incarcerated in the country's most notorious mega-prison. It has also sent families from Russia to Costa Rica and men from various countries to South Sudan and Eswatini, 2 countries in the midst of political upheaval and human rights crises. Trump pushed to ban birthright citizenship unconstitutional, U.S. court rules. Donald Trump's effort to repeal birthright citizenship has hit another stumbling block with a federal appeals court in San Francisco declaring the president's attempt unconstitutional. The three-judge ruling panel in the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals echoed a district court in New Hampshire that blocked the executive order earlier this month. The district court correctly concluded that the executive order's proposed interpretation, denying citizenship to many persons born in the United States, is unconstitutional. We fully agree, the verdict said. The case is now one stop further on the long road to the U.S. Supreme Court. Trump's executive order banning birthright citizenship was signed just hours after the president took office on January 20th and was immediately challenged in a spread of courts across the country. It has faced a tumultuous legal battle ever since. Birthright citizenship is a legal principle that allows nearly everyone born on U.S. soil to become a U.S. citizen. In under a month since the executive order's filing, multiple judges across the country have filed injunctions blocking the order. Trump's administration then took to the Supreme Court to fight the injunctions. In a major decision, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that injunctions by the lower courts were exceeding their given authority, effectively transforming the mechanics of the U.S. justice system. The verdict did not address the legality of the birthright citizenship ban itself. A loophole was left, however, for those looking to fight the executive order, class action lawsuits. In opposition to the executive order, New Hampshire Judge Joseph LaPlante recognized babies across the U.S. as a class that would be affected by the lawsuit and said depriving them of citizenship constituted irreparable harm. Birthright citizenship was embedded in the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment in 1868, overturning the infamous 1857 Dred Scott decision and giving citizenship to formerly enslaved Americans. It was strengthened in 1898 in the Wong Ark case, which upheld the citizenship of American-born Wong Kim Ark in the face of the Chinese Exclusion Act. Indigenous Americans were historically excluded from birthright citizenship, which changed the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924. Long a fringe issue in right-wing circles, the effort to repeal birthright citizenship was brought back into Congress in 1991 and has appeared regularly since. Trump's executive order, constitutional or not, marks its furthest foray into the mainstream. At time of writing, the Trump administration was yet to comment on the ruling. USCIS assists an investigation leading to arrest a Haitian engaged in violence and destabilization of Haiti. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services provided valuable assistance in the investigation that led to Immigration and Customs Enforcement arresting Pierre Reginald Bullis on July 17th for violating the Immigration and Nationality Act by contributing to the destabilization of Haiti. Bullis is a lawful permanent resident of the U.S. and citizen of Haiti. This case was investigated jointly with the U.S. Department of State's Diplomatic Security Service and USCIS. The Department of State determined that Bullis' presence or activities in the United States would have potential serious adverse foreign policy consequences for the United States, providing a basis for the charge of removability. Specifically, officials determined that he engaged in a campaign of violence and gang support that contributed to Haiti's destabilization. In his application to become a lawful permanent resident, he failed to disclose his involvement in the formation of a political party in Haiti, Mouvement pour la Transformation et la Valorisation de Haiti. Additionally, he failed to disclose that he was referred for prosecution by the Haitian government's Unit for the Fight Against Corruption for misusing loans, which supports an additional ground of removability based on this fraud. He is currently in IC enforcement and removal operations detention. The Department of State has determined that certain individuals with U.S. lawful permanent resident status have supported and collaborated with Haitian gang leaders connected to Viv Ansom, a Haitian foreign terrorist organization. The United States will not allow individuals to enjoy the benefits of legal status in our country while they are facilitating the actions of violent organizations or supporting criminal terrorist organizations abroad. With this determination, the Department of Homeland Security can pursue the removal of these individuals under Section 237A-4C of the Immigration and Nationality Act. These new actions demonstrate the Trump administration's firm commitment to protecting the American people, advancing our national security interests, and promoting regional security and stability. H1B wage levels what will change in the new U.S. immigration rules that will end visa lottery. The U.S. administration is planning to bring in a new H1B H1B rule, which will give weightage to wage level instead of the random lottery that takes place now when H1B registration exceed the annual limit of $65,000 plus the additional $20,000 for individuals with an advanced degree from a U.S. university. The new rule will not be applicable this year, as 2020 SIXS registration quota has already been reached. U.S. tech workers have welcomed the proposed changes, as they think the changes will eliminate the possibility of you companies hiring foreign workers for posts that don't need high skills, as H1B should be, but they hire only to save money, as they will have to pay less wage to a foreigner than a U.S. citizen. Understanding weightage-based selection. This is the same rule that the Trump administration wanted to bring in during the last term. USCIS will rank and select the petitions received on the basis of the highest occupational employment statistics wage level that the proffered wage equals or exceeds to the relevant standard occupational classification code in the area of intended employment, beginning with OES wage level 4 and proceeding in descending order with OES wage levels 3, 2, and I. The Occupational Employment and Wage Statistics Program is within the Department of Labor. The 2021 DHS rule said, what does this mean? This means there will be no H1B hiring at the entry level. Entry-level jobs will be protected for Americans based on the wages and expertise needed for a job. There are 4 levels: entry, qualified, experienced, and fully competent. The national average of entry-level salary is $83,000. Level 2 is $108,000. Level 3 is $127,000, and Level 4 is $151,000. International grads will suffer. Senior American employees will face competition. International graduates looking for entry-level jobs in America will suffer as they will not get a chance in the proposed system. While this is good news for American graduates, the new rule has bad news for senior American leadership, as the new system will bring in more high-paid mid-level H1Bs. Startups will also suffer as they won't be able to hire cheap labor from H1Bs. While federal courts push back against unconstitutional overreach, the Trump administration continues to expand enforcement powers, target green card holders linked to foreign unrest, and propose wage-based visa reforms, signaling a broader, lasting transformation of U.S. immigration policy. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Till then, take care.
Trump's toughest immigration move, court rejects Trump's order. USCIS new update, new H1B rules. In the first 6 months of Trump's second term, US immigration enforcement has intensified sharply. ICE arrests have surged 268% since June 2024, increasingly targeting undocumented immigrants without a criminal reports. Mass raids led by officials like Stephen Miller have used military-style tactics in public spaces and workplaces. Detention centers are overcrowded by over 13,500 people, with reports of child malnutrition and poor conditions. Over 127,000 deportations have occurred, including removals to third countries with no ties to deportees. Trump's attempted repeal of a birthright citizenship was blocked by the Ninth Circuit Court, affirming the 14th Amendment. Meanwhile, USCIS helped investigate Haiti's national parade. Regnant follows a green card holder now facing deportation for gang ties and contributing to Haiti's destabilization. In a separate move, the administration planned to reform the H1B visa system by prioritizing high-wage job offers, aiming to protect U.S. workers. Supporters hailed the wage-based rule by critics say it harms international graduates and startups.